Hey Facebook, how you doing? Welcome to the Ruby Girl Talk. I'm so excited tonight. I have this awesome woman of God, Tomika Snodgrass. Oh my God, she is going to be my guest tonight, and I'm so excited. She flew in all the way from Detroit, Michigan, Alaska of United States. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, I did.
She looking like, don't give my address out.
What you doing?
Hi, Tamika. How are you today?
Hello, I am wonderful. And thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I am excited. We met on the Shawn Fair Leadership Tour. So Tamika has a lot to share with you tonight. This is an awesome woman of God. She is doing some life-changing things. She is changing people's lives. I mean, she is breaking into the entrepreneur world like boom, bam, here I am. So I am excited, so excited. So Tamika, before we get started, I want you to go to my Facebook page and
Okay,
I want you to share this so that your people can see this.
absolutely. I'll do it right now.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Because we want to make sure that as many people can see this video tonight because it's going to be impactful. It's going to show you the grace and mercy of God that no matter what you've been through, that you can recover from it. So we're just going to go ahead and let Tamika introduce herself. When I say it is an honor to have you on the show tonight, it is an honor. So Miss Tamika, tell them who you are, girl.
Okay, I'm just now sharing this. So 1 second, I'm sharing it.
Okay. So,
So,
so while you sharing, I just tell them a little bit about Ruby Girl. So Ruby Girl is based off Proverbs 31 and 10. Who can find a virtuous woman for her price is far above the price of a ruby. So Ruby Girl was started in 2019 with just two words from God, just simply Ruby Girl. And from there, it was birthed a t-shirt brand, a bra wallet, just so many other things, a speech, this or that, just something to encourage women to let them know their worth and their value. Because there's so many of my dear sisters that are being just beat down, is disgusted and just tore down and just don't know their value. So Ruby Girl has been established so women can know their value and their worth. We are so valuable. We were God's last creation. And when we got here, everything was ready for us. God didn't have to look at us and say, you know what? You need this, you need that. Everything was prepared for us. How awesome is that? So, Tamika, are you ready to tell people how awesome you are, girl?
yes, I'm ready. Thank you. I don't know how to follow that, Ruby girl.
Go right ahead.
So I thanks again for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm Tomika Snodgrass, and I am the CEO and founder of Confident Heart Coach. And Confident Heart Coach is a life coaching practice. I specialize in relationship and business coaching, and I work with ambitious women like yourself, Kira, who
Hey.
uh, who just want to spark joy and happiness in every area of their lives, including their personal life and their professional lives in their own unique way. So I help women in business and female entrepreneurs to just find their purpose and walk in it proudly and unapologetically. And that is what I do. I'm also a motivational speaker, I'm an educator, and I am an elite True Colors facilitator as well. So I help organizations and individuals to create unity and harmony at home and in the workplace. I'm all about inclusivity and just making people feel good.
Girl, you used a big word, inclusivity.
Inclusivity.
Girl, how many syllables?
I don't know, put it to a beat. Inclusivity.
Hey. See, that's what I love about her. I love her laugh. I love the joy that bubbles out of her because I know it's just not happiness. This is joy that you see on her. And as y'all listen to her story tonight, you're going to find it very hard to believe that this woman has ever shed a tear in her life. So, Tamika, now
Yes.
the pandemic changed a lot of people's lives, but
Mhm.
you took it as an opportunity to reinvent yourself. So tell us about your business business, Confident Heart Coach. Now, you told us a little bit about yourself, but just tell us a little bit about how it got started.
Okay, I'd love to. So I spent over 30 years in the banking industry, actually. So I have a long time banking career, predominantly in large corporate banking, where I sold treasury management services to large corporate clients. But during the pandemic, I really just wanted to focus on what lights me up. I wanted to do what sparks joy and happiness in my life. And for over 20 years, I've been a mentor and go-to person and really a coach for women and young ladies. People just have been drawn to me, and especially when it comes to marital advice and advice about what to do on their job, how to talk to their boss about a raise, how to do this, how to negotiate a deal, how to have confidence in a meeting, all these different things. And I love that people feel comfortable coming to me and asking me questions. And I love empowering and inspiring other women and lifting them up and encouraging them. And so that's how Confident Heart Coach really got started. I feel like that's my calling and that's my purpose. And I decided to step out on faith and walk in my purpose and run my business full time.
That is awesome. Was it scary to take that leap? How
Woo!
prepared was you?
It was so scary. It was so scary. I talked to my husband about it and I told him what I wanted to do. And I said, give me a year. I just want to step in it 100%. I don't want to have one foot in the corporate world and one foot in my own business because I couldn't give 100% to both. And so I asked him to give me that opportunity, and he was so supportive. And he said, "Okay, I'll give you a year. Make it work, or whatever." So it was scary. It was scary. But I will tell you now, even though he was supportive, I'm sure he thought all my apples fell off the apple cart. Okay.
I'm sure he did.
He was
He
like, "What?
probably
Are you crazy?"
he went in that prayer closet, bam, slammed the door. Lord, I'm not coming out till I hear from you.
She has lost her mind.
But you know what? It is good when your spouse understands your vision and they back you in it because in entrepreneurship, it's all about risk. It's all about chances. It's not about being in that comfort zone. Because
Right.
if you understand your comfort zone, you would have just stayed employee. You know
Mm-hmm.
what was coming, you know what to expect. But when entrepreneurship, every day is different. You never know what you're going to make every day.
That's
We
right.
look in our bank accounts to see the increase, but when you work, you look in your bank account to see the decrease because you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, who's took money out? We be like, okay, let's see who put some
Did I
money in.
get paid?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I am so
absolutely.
excited that you decided during the pandemic to reinvent yourself. It seems to be a common story. And I believe God took us out of our normal, out
Mm-hmm.
of our just rut that, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And God was like, I can stop everything and reset. So a lot of people reset. So,
I believe that's true. I really believe that. And you know what? I also use that time to slow down and to work on my own personal and professional development. I'm a lifelong learner. I love to learn new things. And if I'm going to do something, I'm all in and I want to give it 100%. So I took that time to become an elite True Colors facilitator. So I continued my True Colors training and completed it all during the pandemic while running my business so that I could be among the elite facilitators, which is the top 100% of True Colors facilitators. So I'm really proud of that too.
oh, wow, tell us just a little bit about what's True Colors,
True
being a part
Colors
of
is
that.
True Colors is a personality typology, very similar to Myers-Briggs and DISC type personality assessments, if you're familiar with that at all. And we believe that everyone has certain characteristics. And with True Colors, there are 4 colors. It's blue, green, orange, and gold. And everyone has a dominant color. I'm a bright blue, so I'm somebody who's very passionate and enthusiastic, and I love harmonious relationships. I love connection with people. And so that's my brightest color. And I use True Colors in my coaching practice. It's really been a differentiator for me in my business to help people to better understand themselves and to better understand others. Because when we do that, we can have empathy and understanding for why people behave the way they do. Everybody's not out to get you, you know?
That's true. That is
Yeah.
so true. So,
Mhm.
what advice would you give somebody who wanted to become full time in their business? That because most entrepreneurs, that's what you want to become. Like even including me, and it's
Mhm.
just like you're always trying to seek that advice. You always want to hear when is the right time to become full time.
Yes. There's no perfect time. I think you have to be clear on your vision and your why. What's your purpose? Who is it that you want to serve? And how do you want to serve them? So you need to be clear about that. But what I say to everybody, don't quit your job until you know how you're going to make money in your business. And make sure that you have clients and that you're able to have that steady, reliable income before you walk away from your steady job, because that income that you're getting from your regular job can help to support you as you build and develop your business. So that's the advice that I give. Have your finances in order, because like you said earlier, it's unpredictable when you're an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So make sure you understand where's your source of income going to come from, and can it support and sustain your lifestyle.
Yes, and you have to live below your lifestyle before you
Amen.
even
Yes.
step out.
Mhm.
You have to live at the bare minimum. You
Mhm.
like, okay, I need to get rid of this, pay this off. I won't have this and that. And it's a
Right.
sacrifice. It really is. So, Tamika, you were one of the speakers on the leadership, Shawn Fair Leadership
Yes.
Experience Tour. Yes, we had such an awesome time. But tell everybody about your experience with the tour.
Well, first of all, you already know that Shawn Fair and his entire team, they are amazing. I've never been a part of anything like that. I think Shawn has created a community and a family of speakers. I mean, these were powerful speakers. I was amazed. Everybody that took the stage just had such a powerful story, and they did such a great job telling their story. But what I love most about it was that sense of community and that family. Each speaker wanted everybody else to succeed and to get up there and slay on that stage. So that was my experience. I loved it. And ever since I took the stage, doors have been opening. I've been presented with so many different opportunities to speak. I've had new clients reach out to me in my business. So it has been phenomenal.
That
Mhm.
is so awesome. And that was the purpose that Shawn had, the vision that Shawn wanted to give speakers a platform.
Yes.
You can take the training, the classes, the everything, but you need a platform to speak,
Yeah.
to practice, to have access to people that's already up there. And the fact that I love is even when you're done the tour, he still works with you. You
Still
can you still
there.
yes, you still have access to the coaches, you still have meetings. He's still training you. It's like you're in the family, like you said.
Yes.
You're in the
Yes.
family. And you're right. It was such a wonderful community feel. I've just never been around so many people that wanted you to win. You felt
Yes.
the vibes in that room. And I think that's what helped both of us to give that flawless performance because we knew everybody was out there cheering for
They were
us.
cheering for us. And so we definitely wanted to deliver. And like you said, it's not over. It's not
Yes.
over. We're still collaborating with each other. The speakers are reaching out to one another with different opportunities. So it has been amazing, and it continues to be amazing. That's what I
Oh, that was my fear that it would just end at the
hmm
stage. That once I walked away, I wouldn't be connected to y'all again. I wouldn't see Shawn again, Miss Ray, all those that helped us. That was just it. But like you said, we're a community, we're a family now. So speaking of that, your speech was about how bad things happen to good people. So I
Yeah.
just want you to tell us, what was the bad thing that happened to you?
Sure. So my speech was about a tragic car accident that I had years ago. I was only 19 years old, and I was hanging out with one of my cousins. My cousin was my best friend. I just loved her, and we were out together. We stopped at a donut shop after hanging out, and on our way out of the shop, we were getting in the car, and I was attacked at gunpoint.
Mm.
And so I talk about that. My attacker tormented me. I mean, slammed me to the ground, ripped my clothes off my body. I'll never forget that night. It was pouring down, raining. So I was laying there just naked, pretty much in the pouring rain, as he had this gun to my head. And I begged and pleaded for my life. I asked him to please not kill us, to please just take the money and go. And I say all the time, I just thank God that that's what he did. He did rob me that night, and he told me to count to 100, and he turned and he walked away. And so what happened after that is I got in the car and I started driving off. I drove off too fast, and I had a terrible car accident. I slammed into a telephone pole. The car was split completely in half. I was thrown from the car. Um, and when I woke up, it was 2 days later, and I was in the hospital. I had been in a coma. And when I woke up, I found out that my cousin Yolanda died in the crash. So it was a terrible accident that changed my life. It really had an impact on me, because being that young, and losing someone in that way, it was just very difficult. It was a challenge that I didn't think I would ever get through that. I was depressed and just, I was just heartbroken about the loss of my cousin. Um, and so during my speech, I talk about that and how I overcame it. So I'm telling it right now in a short period of time, but you understand, if you've had a loss like that it takes time to get through it. So I had to go through a grief process. I had a lot of questions. I questioned my faith. God, why did this happen to me? I questioned, why did I get to live and my cousin had to die? I just, at 19, I didn't have the capacity to really understand what was happening to me and why it was happening. And that was my state of mind. Is I almost think, like, I had a pity party for a while, because not only was my body beaten up and broken, because I broke all my ribs. I suffered a severe head injury, but my mind was messed up too. My heart was broken, my mind was broken. And so I stayed like that for a long time, and nobody knew, you
Mm.
know, nobody knew. I pretended to be okay, but I was not okay. I was very depressed and heartbroken about what happened. I blamed myself for a long time.
That's
Yeah.
understandable.
Hmm.
Everything that you said you experienced, because that's life changing.
Yes.
I'm quite sure you replayed that day over and over in your mind, trying to figure
Mm.
out what could I do different? Should I switch
Yes.
spot? Just I know just a lot of things, and that's what we do.
That's
And
what we
then
did.
it's like when you suffer trauma like that, you can remember every detail of it. I don't care how
Yes.
old you are. If it happened to you when you was 3, if you don't remember nothing, you remember every detail of your trauma. And that's just how our brain function. So I
Hmm.
couldn't even imagine how you have gotten to this point to where you're smiling, to where you're confident. Some
Yeah.
people they just been in a car accident and
Mm.
they just never been the same. But for
Right.
that to have happened to you in a car accident, and you still are going on with life, understanding that your life has purpose, and
Yes.
understanding that it's the grace of God that keeps you like you are every day. And I am
Yes.
so sorry that you had to go through that, but I understand how God uses pain for purpose. We just think everything should be all right, and then we'll walk into our purpose, but we don't understand, just like Jesus had to be crucified to get to
Hmm.
his purpose, we have to be crucified in some ways in order for us to really get our purpose. So I'm going to ask you this question because I want to find out how your family reacted, but we're going to take a commercial break. Yeah, y'all,
Okay.
this is something new. And so Tamika is going to give us about 2 minutes about her business, whatever she wants to share with you. And then when she come back, she's going to answer that question. Go ahead, Tamika.
Okay, so that sounds great. Thank you. So once again, I'm Tomika Snodgrass, and I am the CEO and founder of Confident Heart Coach. I am a relationship coach and a business coach. So I help ambitious female business leaders and entrepreneurs to spark joy and happiness in every aspect of their lives, their personal life, with their spouse or long-term partner, their children, and then also in their business relationships, when it comes to working with their colleagues, working with their boss, just having beautiful, caring relationships, and working in environments and living in environments where there's harmony and where there's just joy and happiness there, because happiness is a choice. And so that's something that I help my clients with, to have the life that they want, to live with abundance and walk in their purpose unapologetically. And that's something that I'm very passionate about. I'm also a motivational speaker, and I'm also an elite True Colors facilitator, where I help organizations and individuals to create harmonious, unified work environments where everyone feels cared about and welcome. You know, everyone has a seat at the table, because representation matters. And so that is what Confident Heart Coach is all about: women empowerment, because women are phenomenal and we rock. So I want to help every woman rock.
Did you
Yeah.
did you give me your contact information, how they can get in touch with you, your website?
Absolutely. So you
Okay.
can find me on my website at confidentheartcoach.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Just look up Tomika Snodgrass. With that last name, I'm probably the only one that pops up, I'm sure. And the last name is Snodgrass, and my first name is Tomika with an O, Tomika. And then you can also find me on Facebook at Confident Heart Coach. That's my business page, and my personal profile is Tomika Snodgrass on Facebook.
Great, great. So we're back, y'all.
Yeah.
We're back after that commercial break. Thank you, Tamika.
Thank you. I
Thank
like
you.
that. I like the way you did that.
Thank you so much, Tamika, for that wonderful commercial. I didn't leave and get snacks or nothing. I was so captivated. You was just such an awesome commercial person.
Why, thank you.
So, so let's get to the question.
Yes.
How did your family respond to this tragedy? How did
Yes.
they respond to you?
Well, first of all, my parents were, they were phenomenal, because they really pulled me through. I told you that I was in a coma right after the accident, and I always tell everyone it was my mother's voice that I held on to, and I believe that she woke me up. She just kept talking to me. She kept telling me, "Get up, we need you, come back to us. Can you hear my voice?" So my support was my mom and my dad and my close immediate family. But the other part of that situation that was very difficult is that Yolanda, who died in the car accident, she had family, she had siblings, and her oldest sister took the accident really, really hard. And she wanted answers. And, when something tragic like that happens and someone that young passes away, you want someone to be held accountable. You need someone to be responsible. You need answers. And unfortunately, all of that was directed at me. And it was difficult for her to see that I was a victim in that situation too. I was grieving too, but I was the one at that time who was to blame. And so it really did drive a wedge between us. Our relationship is not the same. But what I do want to say is that in time, I learned forgiveness. And so, what you said about God and how God will use your pain and He'll bring you to your purpose, and He'll also give you a peace that surpasses all understanding. So, I could not understand it then, but as I matured, I understood that she was hurt, and that was her way of dealing with her grief and her pain. And so, I did have to go through a process of forgiving myself and forgiving her for what she did to me, because during that period she really tormented me.
Oh,
She just could not understand how it is that I lived and her sister died. So she wanted it to be something more than just an accident. I was accused of being a murderer. I was accused of using drugs. I was accused of, drinking and driving, just so many different things. And that when there's a fatal accident, there's a toxology report. So you
Yes.
can read that. Everything was in there, but she needed answers. So it did change our relationship, because while I was able to forgive, I certainly could not allow her back in my life the way she was, just because of so much hurt and so much pain from that. But what I do want to share is that I overcame. You asked me, how am I able to smile? How am I able to have that joy? I'm able to smile and have joy because God saved me for a reason,
Yes.
because God has a purpose on my life and he led me right to it. And so I'm doing what I do today because of God. He saved my life. I can't be nothing but joyful and happy. When you fly through the windshield of a car
Mm.
and the car is split completely in half and you live, you better be happy. I grab a hold of every piece of joy and happiness that I can.
Amen.
Yeah.
Your story is so inspiring, and for people that has been through any kind of trauma, you might not have been through a car accident,
Mhm.
but you could have been through an experience that has been life changing, or you almost lost your life. Just be grateful for it. So sometimes the enemy will have us dwell so much on the trauma that we don't see the joy that we're still here. I marvel at people that's like, used to be like us, and they're paralyzed from the neck down, and they still have purpose in life. They're
Yes.
still living. And I just be thinking, like, could I do that? If I ever got in that state, how fruitful would I be? But it's all about the grace of God. And I am
Yeah.
so glad that God saved you and gave you the opportunity to share your story with so many people, because I know it's somebody here now that's been wrestling with guilt,
Mhm.
shame, just depressed, but they're going to hear your story and say, that didn't happen to me. I What happened to me, I can get over it. And I understand, because I shared my story. And
Yes.
and on that day, like I told you, when I walked away from that stage, it was like I left it there. I was okay with what happened to me. When you
Right.
get to that place that you like, God, I understand that what happened to me, you were still there, because you promised never to forsake me. So I
Mhm.
know you was there. I know it happened for a reason, but I'm going to turn that tragedy into my purpose. So I commend you, Tomika. I really do. If I could
Thank
shake your
you.
hand through Zoom, I would shake your hand.
And I love what you said, because I love what you said because it really took a change in my perspective. I really had to change the questions that I was asking. And so God allowed me to have that pity party and to pull those covers up over my face every day and be depressed and lay in the bed and question, why did this happen to me? But eventually, my question changed. And my question was, okay, God, this happened to me and I didn't choose for this to happen, but what do you want me to learn from this experience? What's the lesson? And how can I use this to help other people, to inspire and motivate other people, that if I can walk through this and get through it and have joy and happiness and peace in my heart, whatever you've been through in your past, you can walk through it and you can get your joy back, your happiness back, and get that big, pretty smile back on your face too.
That is amazing. Totally
Yeah.
amazing. So this is my last question for you. What advice would you give someone who has experienced trauma and need to get their life on track? They're just stuck.
Yes. The advice that I give is to allow yourself to feel whatever you are feeling. It is okay, because we have to go through those emotions. So if you're sad, if you're hurt, if you're depressed, if you're anguished, whatever you're feeling, allow yourself to feel it. It is okay. And then use that emotion to push yourself forward and pull yourself out of that dark, broken place and into a place of joy and abundance, because that's God's promise to us. He came that we might have life and that we might have it more abundantly, right? And so we're not meant to stay stuck in our past. We're not meant to stay there. It's okay to reflect on it. It's okay to learn from our past, but don't stand in it because there's so much that's waiting for you in your future. You just have to step forward and take one step after another, and you'll get there.
Amen. Great. That is awesome. You helped me today, coach. I feel like I got a free session today. So, Tamika, I thank you so much for being a guest on the Ruby Girl Talk. I really just wanted to have a conversation with you because your story just needed to be shared. And it
Thank you
needed to
so much.
really just get out there. The more people that hear it, the more people that'll be helped. And I think what makes it so powerful is to look at you now and say, there's no way that happened to her. There's just no way. That's how you know God did it. You
God
know,
did it. Mhm.
yes. When they
Yes,
say,
he did.
how are you so joyful? God did it, you know, and people
Mhm.
don't understand until you get to the, it might take you 10 years, 20 years, or whatever, but eventually, if you keep trusting God, you will get to that point of peace that you be like, this happened to me. So
Mhm.
what?
I made it. He saved you
Yes.
for a reason. And if
Yes.
God saved you for a reason, whatever that reason is, whatever that purpose is, your responsibility is to fulfill that. And so that's where my joy and happiness comes from. It comes from God because He saved me. I should have been dead. You know, my father went and saw that car and he just sobbed. He said, there's no way you should be alive. There's just no way but God. And I know that's true.
Wow. Amen.
Mhm.
So thank you so much. So I'm gonna close out. I did it a little bit different tonight, y'all. So tonight I get to end with my commercial. So we have heard from this awesome, anointed, joyful woman that has triumphed over her tragedy and has made it, took her pain and made it her purpose. And now she's helping others to get unstuck, to keep living, to have the joy. It's her ministry. It's actually your ministry. So let me tell you what Ruby Girl products are. Okay. So we have here the bra wallet, and we have different colors, y'all. We have this cute purple. Now, this says tough girl on it because to be a Ruby girl, you got to be a tough girl, because you done been through some stuff to become that Ruby girl. You got a testimony. So we have tough girl. It comes in so many different colors: blue, yellow, orange, all that. Then we have the red one. I'm loving the red. Yes, for my ladies that love red. And then we have Ruby Girl. You can't see this. This is so odd. This is really
There
odd. There you
it
go.
is.
So we have Ruby Girl in white now, just the bra wallet. So don't get excited. And this is nylon. The rest of those were canvas. But yes, we have it in white. And then we have it in black. Yes, black so that it matches your t-shirt. So the bra wallets are $13 on my website, rubygirl.net. And also, while you're there, I want you to get your t shirt. This is just not just buying a t shirt, it's a reset of your mindset from victim to victor. Yes, that's what Ruby Girl is all about. So it's Ruby Girl Proverbs 31 and 10. And it says that you are a priceless princess, which you are, because your father is a king and that makes you a princess. So when you get your Ruby Girl shirt, it is a decision that you have made that I'm going to lift my standards up. I'm going to turn my circumstances around. I'm not who I used to be. My past has no influence on me. I am a new woman. So you take on the identity of a Ruby girl. And when I tell you, it's awesome. So, Tamika, thank you so much. Everybody, if you look up in the comments in the posting section, you can find her information. I want you to reach out to her. I want you to connect with her on Facebook. I want you to go to her website. I want you to go to LinkedIn, connect with Tamika. And so, Tamika, once again, I thank you for being on the Ruby Girl shirt show.
Thank you.
Hey, that's a word for y'all. Shirt, shirt, shirt.
Church.
But thank you for being on the Ruby Girl show. We will be back next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Facebook Live on my page. Thank you so much, Tamika. You have a wonderful evening. And to everybody that stayed and watched us, you have a wonderful evening. And I will be back next week. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you too.